Hi everyone, welcome to our channel HippoMap. My name is Hip. On this channel, we're going to talk about the capitals and the largest cities of all the countries and territories of the world that get their own top-level domain. You know, like .uk, .ca, or .au. The first territory we're covering is Ascension Island, or .ac. It is part of the British Overseas Territory of St. Helena, Ascension Island, and Tristan da Cunha, which is actually made up of 3 separate groups of islands that are extremely far from each other, scattered across the South Atlantic Ocean. Since 2009, the territory is run as 3 separate jurisdictions with equal status. Since then, Georgetown has become the capital of Ascension Island. Ascension Island is a volcanic island strategically located halfway between the continents of South America and Africa. It sits just south of the equator. Georgetown sits on the same latitude as Dili, the capital of East Timor, and on the same longitude as the east coast of Iceland. Georgetown sits on a beautiful beach on the north side of the island facing Clarence Bay. British sailors in the 1700s were experts in spotting the best locations for ports. The cliffs on the south and east side of the island were too much for sailboats to dock, and the ruggedness makes very strong waves. The beaches on the north and west sides were too shallow, and sailboats tend to run aground, so beachheads became the best spot to build settlement. Georgetown is the ideal location. It's located in a small break of beach that is defended by cannons on Fort Bedford on top of the hill. It makes invading much more difficult, as enemy sailboats will crash onto the beach unless it sails through a narrow channel, but has to face bombardment from the guns. Getting to Georgetown is not the easiest. The airport is called RAF Georgetown, also known as RAF Wide Awake. As RAF stands for Royal Air Force, the only way to get to Georgetown is to get a ticket on an Air Force charter flight from a base in England. The flight makes a pit stop at Wide Awake and continues onto the Falkland Islands, another territory under British administration. Commercial flights have been scheduled to Georgetown, but the possibility of wind shear has worried authorities so much that the service is now suspended. Wind shear, by the way, means wind speed or direction varying at different altitudes, making landing an aircraft challenging as lift on the plane's wings can suddenly reduce or increase. The sea turtle is a symbol of Ascension Island. It is featured on the island's flag as well as various coins and postages. Like many British territories, members of the royal family are often used to symbolize ties to Britain. Portuguese explorers discovered the island, but the English were the first to settle there in 1701. Georgetown was named after the King George III of Britain, the third George in a row. Both his father and grandfather were born in Hanover in what would become Germany. Both of them spoke less English than German. George III was famous for getting crazy towards the end of his reign, and oh yes, America was lost during his reign. In 1836, Charles Darwin visited the island. The soldiers stationed at Georgetown had the problem of not getting enough drinking water. There was no natural rivers. To alleviate the problem, Darwin suggested that forests should be planted on the peak of the volcanoes. Georgetown was important because it acted as a rescue station for ships sailing around all of Africa to access Asia. Sailors often had the problems crossing the tropics because they often got stuck in windless waters near the equator. Bottles of condensed oranges and limes were stored so sailors can stuff themselves with vitamin C when needed. Georgetown became important when Napoleon was exiled to St. Helena. So here we go. Ascension Island, our first ever episode. Who would have thought there are so many fun geo stories behind a small volcano island? We'll be covering many countries and territories, so if you like this channel, please subscribe and follow me, Hip, at HippoMetro on Twitter. Thank you very much and see you in the next episode.